Hi, all. Good to be with you. My name is Brittany Coppola, and I am a product marketing manager here at Datadog, and I'm excited to walk you through our demo about how you can optimize your Azure environment with our observability products. So just to level set and give you some context, so what is Datadog exactly? We are the unified observability and security platform. What we aim to do is bring together all of your metrics, logs, and traces into a single unified platform so that you have a single pane of glass experience when it comes to troubleshooting and monitoring your tech stack. Really doesn't matter what technologies you're using, if you're hybrid in the cloud or somewhere in between, or even on-prem. And just a little bit of historical context. So we were started back in 2010. We launched with our inaugural infrastructure monitoring product. From there, we branched out to dozens of other products like application performance monitoring, our Log Explorer for logging monitoring and solutions. Now we have real user monitoring, next-gen technology monitoring like serverless and AI, and we're just getting started in a lot of different ways. So with that, let's go ahead and hop into the demo. All right, so what I'm seeing here is an overview of my Azure environment. So right away, I can see things like app services, virtual machines, and various health and performance metrics related to these various components of the Azure environment. What I always like to note is that our dashboards are really easy to use. They're out of the box. They don't require any querying languages. All you have to do is drag and drop in order to make your own dashboards, and then that makes them super easy to evangelize across different teams, including teams that are maybe on business or operations who aren't technical users. And as I had mentioned before, so our inaugural product that we launched almost 15 years ago was our infrastructure monitoring product. So what I can do is group by cloud provider to get an overview of my entire environment. So with here we can see each of our hosts is represented by kind of a single honeycomb. And if they're running hot, we can investigate further. Right now, this is filtered by CPU utilization, which we can see up here. If you're using containerized or sort of ephemeral technologies, we also give you the ability to monitor your containers. So what you can see here is a live scatter plot of all of your containers rendered at a 2-second resolution. And then if you'd like to get a higher overview of those containers based on Kubernetes pods, you can also do that as well from this view. Let's see. All right. So let's say that you're using serverless technologies, which again are kind of those next-gen technologies. Right now, we're filtered here by Azure Functions, and we can see all of the various executions. Oops, sorry. Not sure why this is not rendering. Apologies. I am not connected to the internet, so all right. I'm just going to continue along here with our storage monitoring. Sorry, it's not rendering correctly. So we recently added our Azure Blob storage. So this is in preview right now. It will go GA in about a month. But here we can see all of the various blobs associated with our Azure storage, and it's set by prefix objects right now. So again, this will come GA in about a month or so. All right. So here we have an overview of all of our Azure services that the environment has, and we have kind of this nifty map overview, which allows you to see all of your services and how they touch one another. So this can be a really good way to get a visualization of all the services in question. And what we can do is also isolate the service in question that we maybe want to better understand using those red metrics. So requests and errors, latency, and downtime. What I can do from that overview is quickly pivot into better understanding what our traces look like related to a specific service in question. So now we've kind of pivoted from our infrastructure monitoring product to our APM product, or application performance monitoring product. So here what we can see is a list of all of the spans related to a single service in question. So I can filter those further down by error if I just wanted to isolate those. And then if I click into any one of these, here I can see a trace as well as the time that it took to execute at the very top here, as well as the various spans that the trace traversed, as well as the different services that were communicating with one another during the request. Here at the bottom, what you can see is that Datadog has preserved all of the context for you. So in addition to the spans, you can see things like errors, metrics, logs, and even SQL queries for that really high level that granularity that you need in order to do troubleshooting. If we click on the logs that are associated with the specific trace, I can click that and I'm automatically pivoted to our Log Explorer product. So what you can see here is the span ID in question that we were just looking at our application performance monitoring product. And now it has isolated the specific log in question where I can see things like host, service, or any containers that are associated with this specific span. And speaking of our Log Explorer product that we have, we always like to highlight our patterns facet that we have. So this is kind of a way to intelligently cluster all of your logs and the volume and counts of them associated with certain anomalies and patterns for recognition. We know that looking at logs can be kind of like looking for a needle in a haystack. So this just makes it quicker to kind of visualize different anomalies that might be happening within a specific type of log that you're trying to diagnose. We also have something called the live tail, and I won't show this for too long because it gives me vertigo if I look at it. But the live tail is really a great way to see all of the lives that are streaming into your platform. So if you have something like urgently that's happening or a security breach, this is a great way to see all of the logs that are coming in, like I said, real time as well. We got some feedback that customers wanted the ability to monitor their logs at a little bit more in depth. So as I had mentioned in the beginning, with using our products, they don't require any coding or querying languages, but you do give up some of that customization. So we did add log workspaces, which allows you to troubleshoot your logs using the query language that you like. So Python, SQL, what you can do is just upload the data source in question to get that kind of granularity in case our filters are not giving the granularity that you need. Now I'd like to transition to talking a little bit about our next gen technologies that we monitor. So what you're looking at here is a dashboard of our Azure OpenAI integration. So we have 50 or 60 integrations that work with Azure. And right away, we can see important metrics related to things like latency, token usage, usage trends, even across teams, to better understand how this specific technology is performing. And I'll wrap up and show you all of the integrations that we have with Azure. And kind of our fun, cool product that came out last year that we're really proud of is our LLM observability product. So this allows you to see metrics related to your LLM calls. So things like span and error rate, again, token usage, which is kind of a proxy for costs, as well as different calls. And you can also investigate these traces more in depth. And what we can see here is the various input and output that was associated with the specific LLM call on the service in question. And if we click input and output, we can even see the text that was generated. Of course, we know that something that everyone is preoccupied with is sort of the health and safety of LLMs, which is why we have this sort of evaluations tab, which allows you to see things like hallucinations, input, output, sentiment, whether or not something was neutral, and also the cost per span. And again, you can click into any one of these and diagnose the specific observability span in question. And this is kind of, we use our application performance monitoring technologies to underpin this sort of troubleshooting related to LLM spans. Something that everyone is preoccupied with these days is saving costs, which is why we also have a cloud cost management product. So this is really helpful for better understanding how your Azure costs are maybe increasing or decreasing. So right at the top, you can see how the top 3 months have been performing. And if we keep scrolling, we can see the top 5 services where costs were either being saved, so of course noted in green, and then where we might be seeing costs that might be going up. So it looks like specifically the Events Hub Azure service increased about 46% for the last 7 days. We don't want to leave you hanging with that, which is why we offer recommendations for how to actually act on those cost savings. So depending on the region that you want to investigate, you can simply click on that, and then we can give you a recommendation of the action to take, such as terminating a virtual machine or a certain database in order to see those cost savings pretty instantaneously. I had mentioned that we have 850 plus integrations and counting, which is something that we're always investing in and adding to our library. Right now, we are looking at all of the Azure integrations that we have. All of these are out of the box and super easy to connect. You just have to connect your account, usually using your read-only credentials, and then the data from that specific service or application or host will start coming into the Datadog platform. So how do we do that? We have our agent, which is super easy and lightweight, easy to install. So depending on the operating system that you're using, we give you play-by-play instructions for how to get started, including the API key that you'd need to use, as well as any instructions for instrumentation and getting set up. And we even tell you how long it might take. So that kind of concludes the demo portion. And then just kind of going back to my PowerPoint just to give you a little bit of information. So we do offer a 14-day free trial. If you haven't used us before, we are at demo booth, I think 504. We have a couple of virtual pieces of content if you want to check out how to get started with us. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you on the demo booth.